Welcome to the Two Off the Tee show on Fantasy Six Pack. I am your host, Keith Flemming. With me, as always, my gambling guru, hopefully to get you ready for the Texas Valero Open, Alan, aka Actively Lazy. What's going on, Alan?
I have no words. I'm I'm here for therapy from March Madness. Let's put it that way. Oh man, bring on golf and baseball, horse betting, anything but basketball. Take it away.
We're close, man. Augusta next week. Uh, the we got the Valero Texas Open. Texas Valero Open. I don't get that wrong. The last event before the Masters, there is a few players, including Jason Day, who secured their spot by being in the top 50 in the world last week at the match play. Sadly, guys like Ricky Fowler, Padraig Harrington, there's a few others, Harry Higgs, they would need a win this week to get into the field. But we're going to, again, break down this week the Texas Valero Open, give you some DK plays, and then obviously our bets to win and prop bets. Before we get on to that and also recapping the WGC match play, just want to remind everyone you can become an all-access member of Fantasy Six Pack by going to fantasysixpack.net/plans. You get access to us on Discord, access to the award-winning rankings, tools, and more. You can join today by using the promo code F6PMLB with MLB season starting any day now for 15% off. Be sure to check that out. How much of the match play did you get to watch, Alan? I know with the tournament, you probably know a lot.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch any. And anybody that's like, but you bet golf, man. Listen, I have been chasing money in March Madness since it started, and I will share this real quick to let you know how my weekend went. I had a parlay of San Diego State and Texas to win outright. I had bet Miami outright. I had bet Miami spread every single game, and I had followed Texas, had bet Texas, and I was like, this week, this is the matchup. I don't like how it plays out. Yada yada yada. I'm gonna just take Texas to win and get out of here. They're up. Everybody saw they're up 14 with 10 minutes left, and my friend sent me a text and was like, Miami's not ready for the Big 12, and it went all downhill from there. So I am cursed. And so I didn't watch any match play, but I did read up on some of it, and it sounded like it was as competitive as you would expect with the talent that we have on tour this year.
Yeah, a few things from it. Number one, Scotty Scheffler and his putter is just unbelievable right now. I mean, it seemed like every time he needed to make a putt, he did. I don't know if you saw Allen. He came back twice from three down early in the week. He actually came back from Sam Burns 3 down and then ended up blowing it late. I want to get into that in a second because ironically he missed a short putt. But some of these guys that I know we've been big on, like Burns, who with this win, I mean, this dude's a beast, man. He hit 80% greens and reg. He is one of the best wedge players in the game. He's one of those guys, if he can just get in the fairway, he's becoming a better putter each and every year on tour. And then your boy, who you've been big on, Cameron Young, again, he also hit 80% of his greens and reg. Both of those guys led the field. No surprise they played in the championship. Mm-hmm. Scott Porter, again, to just gambling is hard. He was all excited because Saturday or Sunday morning, he's got Cam Young at 33-1 to win, Scotty Scheffler at 9-1. There was about a 5-10 minute stretch where it looked like it was going to be Scheffler versus Young. Again, Scheffler misses that huge putt and extra holes from about really no more than 5 feet. Opens the door for Burns. Burns ends up getting him. And then Cameron Young he got boat raced by Sam Burns in the final. But I am curious because we have seen this in golf a lot with these, especially younger guys who they will go through stretches where they dominate. And if you look at it, it's happened to Spieth, it's happened to JT, it's happened to Rory, it's happened to all. They will go through a stretch where they win, and then something doesn't go right, which is, again, I think it speaks more than anything to just how good the tour is, how deep it is. But once you just have that doubt in your head, it can change you. And it
Mhm.
almost felt like it was a moment with Scheffler finally not rising to the occasion for the first time, where he had a chance to, be that killer and close it. And he just, he did. He missed a 5-foot putt on the second playoff hole. Burns got him 2 holes later. And for Burns, that's just a huge win. Not only because obviously Scheffler is his buddy, but that's 4 wins in 14 months. I think you could see Burns take a step forward this year. And I don't want to act like Scheffler is going to fall off the map, because he's not, but I just don't think he will continue winning at this rate, because usually this is the exact kind of thing that happens to one of these guys. Their confidence gets shaken a little bit, and then we just have to see how they rebound after that.
Yeah, I would normally agree with that, but I feel like Scotty doesn't take himself as serious as everybody else. There's something about his demeanor that just makes me more confident that if there was a guy that could overcome a battle of yips or a bad swing or something like that, he's the guy that can do it. And it's just a mentality thing, the way he carries himself, the way he responds to the few times that he hasn't been necessarily perfect. We've seen Scotty Scheffler win tournaments when he's not at his best. And you give him just the window of opportunity and he chases you down, but he does it in such a way where it's kind of aloof. Like, there's not much of a fist pump, not much of like anything. He's playing his game. And I feel like there's some mental aspect to his game that we can't necessarily quantify. And that's what sets him apart from everybody else, because I've seen moments of doubt in Thomas, like you said, and we obviously saw that in Spieth, Fowler, even Brooks, DJ, everybody has went through that. And I think some of that has to do with a lot of these guys' pedigree when they come up, and then, I hate to say it, but they're generally chasing the ghost of Tiger. I don't think Scotty has had that pressure put on him, and I think he plays a little bit more at ease, and that allows him to overcome some of these mental hurdles that the other guys have had come up because of the doubt. I mean, it's just a different angle for me from what I see in him. I wouldn't be that concerned, because the guy's been so, excuse my French, so damn good that at some point he's got to come back to earth a little. But when he comes back to earth, he's still a top 10 golfer consistent. So he's never out of a tournament. And until I see him shoot himself completely out of a tournament, not necessarily out of a win, I'm not going to get too concerned.
I'll just be really interested to see what happens, especially the next time we see him tee up. It's going to be the Masters.
Yeah.
Before that loss to Burns, I think he should be the heavy favorite, obviously, at Augusta.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of making me wonder a little bit. It just, people, and again, I have not played in anywhere near like a tour level, but just in amateur events, played in like some Atlanta and Georgia Opens. Everybody's good there. Everybody's really good. And a lot of times it's just the confidence. Do you believe you can win? Do you believe you can beat those guys? And it was the first time in Scotty Scheffler. He looked shocked when he missed that putt. Like, absolutely shocked. He took too long, which again made me think it was in his head. Maybe it's because it was a good buddy. Who knows? But just will be something to follow moving forward, especially with our first major coming up. All right, let's go on to the course preview. Again, we are at the Valero, or said it again, Texas Valero Open. Oh, I'm sorry. There's one other thing I did want to ask you, Alan. Scotty Scheffler had a chance to become the second player in WGC history, which I know that, they're ending this year, doing away with, to win the same event in back-to-back years. There was only one other player who had done it. Of course, Scheffler didn't get to do it. That means there's only one player that has done it. Do you know who that is?
I'm gonna take a wild guess. God, what was his name? Like, it's strong. He just got in trouble with a crazy ex. Tiger Woods.
That's him. Okay, he did it 8 times. He won 8 events. 8 WGC events back-to-back years. I'm sorry. I know you get tired of me fawning over Tiger.
No, it's unbelievable. It's fine.
Ridiculous.
I just, as a person who's not as invested in the sport of golf over the years, like, my first memory is Tiger Woods winning the Masters. That's my first golf memory. It's the first time I ever watched a golf tournament. Only reason why me and my dad did it is because Tiger Woods was black. That was the thing. Like, I grew up in a one-stoplight town. My cousin's best friend played golf, but we thought it was a joke. That's my background in golf. So I don't think I have the investment in the sport to be but so critical of Tiger. But as what I consider to be a new generation fan in that sense, at some point, the PGA and golf needs to move on from Tiger. Allow him to be around. Allow him to be propped up. Don't let it overshadow the talent that we have now, like the Scotty Schefflers and so forth. That's all I'm saying.
No, I agree. I do. I just like to mess with you. And again,
It
no other
always
player
goes back.
won back to
It
back
always goes back to
He's
Tiger.
done it 8
It's
times.
it's absolutely wild.
It's
It really
ridiculous
is.
for a sport that you're just not supposed to win regularly, and he did.
Yeah.
All right, so the venue this week, we got the TPC San Antonio. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, Alan, this is kind of a boring golf course. It really is. It's one of the 10 longest on tour. Plays at like 74-38. Standard, course with 10 par 4s, 4 par 5s, 4 par 3s. Like Augusta, it features, very minimal rough. So players, it doesn't matter if you hit the fairway. It's not going to really be an issue. What is an issue if you miss fairways is where you miss them, because it's a very heavy tree line venue. Again, Augusta is to a certain extent. This is even more so. And this course really relies on wind and firm conditions as its only real defense. That, and again, some of the top players in the world are like, it's not an elevated event. I'm not going to be there. That's the other defense, is you don't have too many superstars here this week. But the elements have determined scoring at TPC San Antonio over the last few years. You've seen winning scores of 12 under, for instance. I believe it was last year. And then like 2019, when it was wet, the winning score was like 22 under. So it's been really hot in San Antonio for both February and March. It's supposed to be a firm, played more difficult. And because of that, I think the score is in the 12 to 15 under range. And again, I think that allows you to kind of open up your betting board, who you can look at, because, certain tournaments, the winning score is like 18 under or lower. I feel like there's, kind of like at big events, only a handful of guys that can go that deep. So it just opens up the field. Course comps, basically any Texas course, because again, the wind, the heat is something you have to get used to. Some people play well on it, some don't. And then shot making courses. This is really a second shot course. Obviously, you do have to do pretty good off the tee, because you have to make sure you're not blocked out by trees. But again, with the rough, as long as you're on the right side, you have the right angle, you get away with it. Some of the courses I gave for comps: Detroit Golf Club, Colonial, Memorial Park, PGA National, TPC Twin Cities. The key stats: stroke gain approach, stroke gain total, high winds, bogey avoidance, par 5 scoring, good drives gained, fairways gained, course and comp history. And then, Alan, I know this had to, well, actually, I don't know if you've seen this yet, but this should make your pretty excited from the betting standpoint. Since 2010, 6 long shots have won this event. 5 mid-range, 1 favorite, average score -13. Again, just some of the recent winners. JJ Spawn last year, 150 to 1. Corey Connors, 2019, 200 to 1. Andrew Landry, 2018, 200 to 1. Stephen Botwich, I don't even know who the fuck that is, Alan, and I'm a golf fan. 350 to 1. Martin Laird, 2013, 100 to 1. Ben Curtis, 2012, 150 to 1. I mean, you got some good odds. Basically, other than Spieth in 2021, man, take your shots this week. You got anything you want to add on the course?
I also was going to come in and say, oh, this looks like a long shot week, which I guess is kind of backed by. It's just funny that was my, without even knowing those stats, that was my initial like lean. And I was just thinking to myself, when I get situations like this in golfing where I feel like it could be anybody's tournament, like really long shots have a big play, I'll just put more money towards props, because it gives me like a wider margin of error. If people generally are like 100 to 1 winning tournaments, I mean, you could put $5 on like 10 people, and that's pretty much nothing, but you win a lot. I don't know if I would recommend that being your angle, but if these guys are winning, they're also hitting props. So take that for what you will. I remember last year's and just really trying to figure out, how did JJ win? Because from everything that the course says, no, I'm serious. For everything,
if I remember correctly, his irons were really good last year, and he putted his freaking mind out.
But everything that the course says you're supposed to do to win on the course, he wasn't even top 50 in it. and it wasn't even in the tournament. He wasn't that great at anything other than scrambling and putting, like you said. So I'm looking at this. I actually did some research on the weather prior to the tournament, just to kind of get an idea how firm the greens would be and things like that. It is dry, and the stat that they have, windy AF, it's that. It's like 40 mile per hour winds yesterday and today, and then it's going to be in the 20s in the first 2 days of the tournament. Then it kind of evens out in the mid-teens on Saturday and Sunday. So it's going to be a course where I think you don't have to necessarily take an angle of I need a bomber or I need somebody that's going to get distance, because if your ball striking is on point, you should still make plenty of distance. And in that case, it then becomes a skill game, which I think, again, as we alluded to with JJ, that was his forte last year, was the skill aspect, the finesse aspect of his golf game. So don't be afraid to take those guys this week. And I've got a couple of those guys in my list.
Yeah, he gained over 6 shots. I just went and looked just on the greens and around them. So that's just short game. I mean, literally in short game, he picked up 6 shots on the field. So that's how he did it. But he did have a really good tee to green week as well, which I think he's gained like 11 shots. All right, the DK plays. And I'm going to go through these quickly so we can spend more time talking about our bets. And because I think this week, every one of these guys, except for one, is in my bets. I'll go into more detail when we get into the gambling picks, but you can go to fantasy6pack.net, see my article each week with a DK lineup and 10 total DK plays. Just real quickly to go over those. We have, I have Terrell Hatton, 10,900. Most expensive guy. I think he's the best player in the field. Fowler is the one guy that I did not have on a betting board. He needs to win this to get to the Masters. He's got 2 top 20s here. I don't really like his price or his odds. It just scares me. But he needs it. Again, he's a guy that played his golf out in this area, so, maybe he has more motivation. Maybe he gets it done. From there, Siwoo Kim, 9,700. Finished top 25 the last 3 years. Ben Griffin, 8,700. I've talked about how much I like him. Matt Wallace, 8,500, who won last week in Puerto Rico.
Wait, where's Chris Kirk?
He's here, but I don't have him on my DK plays.
What's his price though?
He's high.
All right, that's all I wanted to know, because in my mind, I'm like, it's going to be windy. The greens are going to be fast. We've seen him win on these types of courses this year, even if he doesn't have good course history. He's a guy that his current form and in a field,
he's 9,300.
I think that's underpriced, honestly, for being in this particular field, and he's. Betting wise, 28-1. He's not even the outright favorite or close to it. I think that's a little disrespectful.
I like it. You may have just talked me into using him in this DK lineup that I have up.
Okay. Oh, please don't take my DK advice.
I do like Kirk this week, though. Siwoo Kim, 9,700. Again, top 25 last 3 times at this event. Great win player, great iron player. Matt Wallace, I'll get more into him when we get to the bets. Lanto Griffin, 7,200. 3 for 3 in cuts made. He needs to take advantage of these PGA events if he wants to keep his cards, because he's got minimum. These are, I think, a health exemption. He's got so many this year. Brandon Wu, one of the young guys on tour, playing really well. Eric Van Ruin finished T14th in his only appearance here. Another guy, good iron player, good win player. Ben Martin, a guy I've used a lot this year, 3 for 3 in cuts made at this event. 3 top 15 since February. And then our boy, Byung Hung An, who... as we know, Honda plays in the wind well, good iron player. I really think that's a correlation, as I said in the preview. You got any guys you want to mention for DK before we get into the
Akshay Bhatia is a low-end guy, which he's been getting a lot of talk in articles and stuff. So, I mean, for the people who don't like chalk, he'll probably be owned a lot. Probably, but I think he's like 6,100 or 6,300. The key stat on a lot of people's radar is approach shots, and he's one of the better approach shot guys on tour, especially for his age of 21. One of the things that I think gives him value too is that he's done a lot of off the radar tournaments and stuff that's not recorded about shot link and things like that. And he's performed well in those tournaments, and his approach game has always been very consistent. I think if he had to finish strong in the last round last week at Punta Cana, he probably wouldn't have been as big of a long shot as he is right now. So I think there's some value in that. And then Ryan Palmer is another guy who's got some high odds. I think course fit wise, for his particular skill set, sets up for him to score some points for you if you're doing DK. And then Aaron Rye, got to go back to my guy. He finished top 30 last year. I'm big on guys who've had previous course history on these smaller tournaments to come back and perform at a high rate. That's why I have Matt Kuchar in my betting lineup. But he'll probably be high owned because he's a well-known name. But Aaron Rye has been playing pretty well over the last month of golf. Basically, ever since I picked him and he did bad, he's played well. So I'm picking him again this week. So if he plays bad, I apologize. I'm jinxing this.
You're not jinxing this, bro. This shit's hard. DFS is so hard. As somebody who does both football and golf, it's ridiculous. I don't even play basketball, which I tell people, don't even waste your time. It's ridiculous. All right, let's get into the bets to win. And I'll start with my picks to win. I'm going with Siwoo Kim as, again, the guy with the lowest odds that I'm picking. He's 22-1. I like everything about him on this course. He's finished top 25 again in his last 3 trips here. And he is one of the best wind and iron players on tour. To your point, I love seeing a guy that has that kind of track record here, and he's having a good year as well. Matt Wallace, 40-1. Again, a huge win for Wallace last week. He's been playing great on the world stage. Mm-hmm. Finally got his first PGA win. I know you brought Matt Wallace up, I believe, for the was it the Players or the Hunt? One of them where he played well. Mm-hmm. He, again, in great recent form, back-to-back top 10s. I expect Wallace to thrive here. He finished third in 2021. That was the last time he played in this event. I think he's a real value at 40-1. I mean, granted, if he wouldn't have won last week, it'd have been like 80-90-1, but that's okay. Ben Griffin, 40-1, a guy I've talked about a lot. I think he's got a lot of talent. I think he is going to win on tour relatively soon. If not this year, by next year. So why not this week? Brandon Wu, 90-1. And then Eric Van Rooyen, who is another guy that has a great track record here. T14 in his only appearance, he's a great iron player, wind player. He should do very well on a course that sometimes his driving can get him. Again, the rough's not that penal here. T14th in his only appearance. And then I got some long shots, but let's go and get into your lower odd place.
All right. Corey Connors, excellent ball striker. I'm just going to put a premium on ball striking with the wind being in play pretty much the entire tournament. Just stat-wise, just sets up like a guy who fits the course. And even though we just already talked about how like favorites don't typically win, I figured, still keep my system the same. Anchor it with some guys that might be a little chalky, but also make sure I keep an open eye and open mind on my long shots. Chris Kirk is my second rated golfer here. And I just think current form is mostly my angle, just because I'm like, the guys play really well in tough conditions against way better fields. But there's also a thing in golf that I've noticed over the years too, is that some guys just don't get up for these tournaments, even if they are good. Brooks is notorious for it. Like, you see him in a small field. Well, back when he was on the tour, you see him in a small field. You're like, oh, dude, this is nothing. And then
he'd say as much. He'd be like, I don't give a shit about this.
Yeah, he's coming in 9-1 and shooting 5 over. But you throw him in the open, and he's like playing out of his mind. It's so frustrating. Matt Kuchar, a guy I think who wants to get momentum going into the Masters. By
the way, just to Kirk, I should have looked at this earlier. He's got 2 top 10s in his last 4 starts here.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would imagine that he plays it well. If he's the previous courses that he's won in top 5, top 10 this year are very similar to me condition wise to this course. Firm greens, fast greens, high winds, but it's not that penal if he misses the fairway. And the one thing about him that he's shown is his putter is pretty good this year. So I like it. Kuchar, just based off of consistency, veteran pedigree. Again, a weaker
Another
field.
guy, worst start last 3 appearances, T12 with 2 finishes in the top 7.
Yeah. I have Kuchar as a top 5, 6-1 prop. I have Kirk as a top 5, 6-1 prop too, that I'm going to play alongside them just in case they don't win. I do think they still have a good chance to give me some money here. Cam Davis, a name that I didn't think I would put on here, but he's on there at 50-1. I just like that. I like the numbers. And again, a talented golfer. Aaron Rye, 55-1, because why not?
Yep,
why not, man? I'm back, Aaron. I'm back. And Aaron's actually top 5, 11-1. I'm considering it, but I want to see how he starts out. I just kind of started on my sheet because it's just something to keep an eye on. If he's playing well enough in the first round, or if I feel like his game is going to be good, because a lot of these guys that I personally follow are streaky like me as far as my gambling. So if they come out and they're on, it's going to be a good tournament. Same way with me. If I can get that first one out the way, it's going to be a good ride. And then my long shots, Ryan Palmer is the lowest of my long shots at 80-1. He's a 7-1 top 10 that I'm considering as well. Emiliano Grillo at 100-1. Not really a big fan of him in the win per se, but I just taking a flyer. I'm not gonna lie, taking a flyer on this one.
He's a great iron player.
Yeah, and Charlie Hoffman has some pretty good.
He's got great track record.
Yeah, and he's at 100-1. Not sure why it's so high. Maybe it's just current form or something like that. But I feel like somebody who's got a great track record here at those kind of odds should definitely get a play. And then Akshay Bhatia. I'm hoping I'm saying the name right. I really practice. Akshay Bhatia.
Yeah, you know that I'm the wrong person to ask.
Yeah, I practice. Right. I practice, but he caught my eye at the Puerto Rico or the Puerto Rican Open, I think. Just because I was watching whatever tournament was going on that week, because I wasn't messing with the Puerto Rican Open because it was the secondary tournament. But there were some highlights and just something about his game. So I ended up doing a little research on him because I'm like, oh, he's a young guy. And he came in with a lot of promise. I was like, dang, I like his swag. So I'm going to give him a go because, again, statistically speaking, his approach game is really good. And he's really young. He's 100-1 to win, and he's plus 850 to top 10. Again, I'm going to put $20 on him to top 10. I'm going to take a flyer on him. That keeps me paying attention to his game, and then also keeping an eye on him, because let's say he does place and he gets into one of these bigger tournaments, you're going to get a lot of value on a guy like this that's up and coming and has that amateur pedigree and honestly that confidence, because a lot of his clips of him talking when he was young, I mean, we're talking back when 16, 17, he's 21 now. I don't think anything's changed in his game, and I love it. So I'm now a newfound fan.
All right, I've got 2 other long shots. Lucas Glover, 180-1. His last 3 starts at this event, all 3 in the top 18.
Luke.
Do what?
I said Luke.
He's pretty good, man. He is definitely a win player, definitely a second shot iron player. He's had 5 shots or more gained on the field, tee to green in this event in 3 straight years. That is a big deal. Again, almost every preview I saw said, look at guys that tee to green it well. Well, if a guy has that kind of track record at this event. And also, I just think with it being a weaker field, we saw it last year with JJ Spawn, there's a good chance for these older guys who maybe if they have a renaissance week, or they just get in a situation, especially if it plays difficult, where they can kind of steal one. That's my same thought on my other one. Ryan Moore is 400-1. He's still a great iron player. He is still a good player in the wind. He's not been in great form, but again, the pedigree Moore has, I don't understand why he is so much higher odds than guys like Lucas Glover and some of these other people. So sign me up for Ryan Moore, 400-1. Moving on to the props. Let's see here. Top 5. I've got Matt Wallace plus 850. Obviously, I spoke about he had a good finish here, third 2 years ago, back-to-back top tens on tour. My favorite play this week, though, is Corey Connors 5-1. Corey has gained 31 shots, strokes gained total at this event the last 4 years. That is almost 8 strokes on the field per event. I think it's a really good value at 5-1. He won here just a couple of years ago. Brandon Todd plus 850. This just seems like a Brandon Todd golf course. He does not really have a track record here. I mean, he has one great start, T8 last year, but that is literally the only time he's played in this event. So I expect, again, with a weak field, him to be right in it. I like that plus 850. Ben Griffin, who I've talked about, again, plus 850. And then Lucas Glover, 35-1 to top 5. Again, this guy has finished no worse than 18th the last 3 times he's played in this event. Glover is somebody who can still go out and play good golf, as he has proven. Again, his last 3 starts here, T18th, 4th, T14. And Glover, does he have? He played 36 at the Valspar, 39 at the Waste Management, so he can still play. That's my top 5 plays. Who you got, Alan? I know you mentioned a few.
Yeah, my favorite top 5 is going to be Kirk at 6-1. And then Aaron Rye at 11-1 is one that I'll just keep an eye on to maybe live bet that. Akshay is plus 850 to top 10. I'm taking a flyer on him and Ryan Palmer at 7-1. I'll probably give them 20 a piece just to see what I can get. But I'm really invested in Kirk top 5. I think that's a valid shot based on his current form and so forth. So that's probably where I'll put most of my eggs in my basket per se. But for the people who are looking to bet this tournament, the same thing I've been telling people for March Madness. I know it's cliche, but it's still that time of year. Hey, look, if you think you got a shot, man, take it, because this is unpredictable. I'm expecting chaos in this tournament.
It's crazy the odds you get too.
Yeah. And you should definitely take your pick at a tournament that has a history of giving out long shots. You should definitely take your pick at a long shot.
All right, so top 10s and top 20s real quickly for me. I got Matt Wallace plus 400. I don't need to go over that again. Lingmerth at plus 750. He's just been playing really good golf. Played really well at back-to-back difficult courses at the Valspar and Players. I like those odds at plus 750 for a top 10. Lanto Griffin 11-1. Again, he needs to take advantage of a weak field and to get some money and some points so that way he can regain his card. Glover at 14-1. And then Cole Hammer is a young stud.
I saw that name. I almost took it just because I was like,
U of T, Texas, man. Went to University of Texas. His
that's where
finish
he lost me. That's
on tour so far has been at the Houston Open, which was also in Texas.
Yeah.
I just have a feeling 20-1. I did the same thing for him for a top 20 at 8-1, along with Ben Martin plus 320, Dylan Wu plus 400. Dylan Wu is another one. There's a lot of young players, to your point earlier about the depth of the tour. Lanto Griffin plus 450 again because he needs it, and Lucas Glover plus 550, which that's probably my favorite bet. Again, he's finished inside the top 18 the last 3 years, and I think the more difficult it plays, that is better for the guys that have played here. Glover has played here as much as anybody, but those are the rest of my props. Do you have any other props you want to get over or go over before we get out of here?
No. I did have my eye on Kevin Streelman, but I'll leave it alone.
I almost went after Streelman. You asked me who were you talking about earlier that you couldn't believe the odds on when you were talking about to win, but I think it's just it's Palmer, Ryan Palmer. Yeah. His form's been him and Streelman both, because I've been using them in DK a good bit because they used to be guys that they'd always play certain tracks well. Streelman at Pebble was another one where I was all over him and he didn't show up. So I've actually been starting to pivot or try to pivot more to the younger guys, particularly in DK. And also just, if you look at it, they're making their presence. Griffin, I think, is finished in the top 40, like 7 out of his last 9 starts. These guys are coming, and we may be in the midst of yet another guard change on the PGA Tour where some of these guys that are kind of that middle of the pack are going to get bumped out by these younger guys. The tour is as deep as ever. I know we were going to talk about the Masters, but we're just going to save that for our special next week, and we'll have that wall to wall.
Yeah.
Who are you leaning towards right now, though? Let's go ahead and make a week before the Masters pick.
Big Z.
Big Z.
Zalatoris.
Ooh, I like it.
I'm gonna keep it going, man. I believe, man. I think he can do it. I really do.
I would love it. I'm a big Zalatoris fan.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's Rory's time. He only needs this to do the career Grand Slam. He would join, the Mount Rushmore of golfers. There's only been 5 players who have ever done it. And I love everything I've seen from Rory. Even this last weekend, he's continuing to improve and try to get better. I like that he went back to the blade putter. I don't know if you saw that this weekend. He went to a Scotty Cameron. I think his stroke looks better with the blade. And it's really ridiculous he hadn't won at Augusta. He is tailor-made for Augusta, especially because people underrate his putting and chipping all the time. Rory is an elite putter and chipper now. Not always when it matters. But if I had to lean one, I think it's his time. I think he's going to handle it. He just seems to be in a good headspace. And I really like what I saw out of him this week at the WGC, where he beat Scotty Scheffler in the semifinal match. So anyway, but we will cover that wall to wall. We're going to have a guest next week, a buddy of mine from ESPN Radio who used to work in a club literally right across the street, basically, from Augusta National. He's got some really cool stories, so we'll be looking forward to that. Alan, why don't you plug some stuff?
I jumped in the lake once.
Where at?
At Augusta.
Did you really?
Yeah, my friend's grandparents lived over there, and we were moving them out. And it's obviously a side story, but yeah, for a bet, I ran and jumped in the lake.
Nice.
Got in a lot of trouble, but hey,
I was gonna say
I didn't get banned, but yeah, I got in a lot of trouble. But I was gonna say plug. You know what? My parlay this weekend, FAU money line and Miami to cover.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm not going with the win. I will play Miami to win just because I feel like I owe it to them. But I've been like, this is a conflicting game for me because UConn and Miami have been my money makers this tournament. But that would be my one. I am 57% for March Madness, which I think is pretty good considering all the chaos.
Dude, it's really
good.
But
I had a couple good outright wins like Furman and all the Miami games have really kept me from being in the negative as far as my units. I'm still up.
So why don't you tell people where can they find your plays at?
Oh, for March Madness?
For everything. All your
for everything?
That's what you do. Oh. Yes. Come on. You do a Twitter handle. Come on, man.
Well, I'm working to try to get on some of the like specialty things we have here at Fantasy Six Pack. I just have to, because I do the stand-up, and I know this is kind of solid, but for people that want to know what I do and why I'm just on golf, I do bet on a lot of things, but I haven't been able to put forth the time that I would like to because I've been doing stand-up on the side. So once I get my scheduling and stuff straight, I like NFL season coming up and so forth. I'm trying to help out with the baseball articles as well. I did get a futures article up for the American League, but again, scheduling and so forth, I wasn't able to do the National League. So I'm just trying to be consistent so I can help.
It just prevents you from being a homer for the Braves, so it's good.
Oh, well, yeah. Obviously, I'm not a homer for the Braves. I love the Braves, but I will call them out in a heartbeat.
All right. Again, follow Alan on Twitter at ActivityLazy85. Follow me at Keith Flemming. Be sure to go to FantasySixPack.net. Check that out. If you want to join the Discord, you should do that. It's worth it. But for Keith and Alan, I hope your bets are all winners this weekend. And if you play some golf, you keep it in the fairways. We'll see you guys soon.